Welcome to The Breakdown, brought to you by PaintballAccess.com. I'm Matty Marcel alongside Todd Martinez. So incredibly important event coming up. It cannot be overstated how important this event is, because if you stumble at the West Coast Open, which is going down August 8th through the 10th, all the action brought to you by PaintballAccess.com, it's going to be rough for you come October, because if, it's two teams coming up from the Challengers Division and two teams will be going down from the Champions Division. So that's what's at stake here, Todd, coming up here. Real short time here. We got a great show coming at you tonight. We got Ryan Greenspan, Marcel Margot, Nate Schroeder, and Raney Stanczak from Edmonton Impact, who's doing very well this year. Dynasty also with a win this year as well, too. So, Todd, lots of crazy storylines heading into this event. There's so many different things going on with all these different teams. But before we bring our guests on, let's talk about these brackets. In the first bracket, you have Impact, Ironmen, Dynasty, 187 Crew, and Art Chaos. That's not the bracket that Vicious is in, the team that you coach. That's a pretty stacked bracket right there.
Yeah, I mean, to see those teams, Ironman and Art Chaos is going to lead the day off come Friday morning. And, Art Chaos finally getting back up into the Champions Division after going down. And, we really have got to see the Art Chaos that we expected at the very end of Chicago Open. So now that Art Chaos is coming back, it's going to make that bracket much more interesting. And then you have Impact, who's just been on a roll this season, who's just been beating the heck out of people all over the place. And the Ironmen, who finally seem to be gaining some steam at the end of Chicago.
Yeah, and we have Rainey from Impact to talk about what's going on with their team. They've won every single event in Europe this year. They took the last PSP event in Chicago, took second at the Mid-Atlantic Open. Impact definitely looking really good. Also, we have Marcel Margot from the Ironmen. And yeah, they started to look like the team that they could potentially be one day at the last event, which was awesome to see. Anytime you reform a team and you have a bunch of younger guys, the story with the Ironmen, all those guys coming over from royalty, and it just takes some time with any of these franchises. But that also was the story for Impact this year as well too. So very interesting, and that's how that's going to play out. And then also Upton 187 Crew, been getting a slow start in the Champions Division, but able to maintain their spot for the past two events in those relegation games, because those Sunday morning relegation games are some of the craziest games to watch, in my opinion, because there's just so much on the line. And 187 Crew has been the straight executioner in those games.
Yeah, those games definitely build character. 187 over the past year, we've seen them go up and down, and now play the last two events, winning their Challengers bracket games definitely help them build character. Picking up some new players has made them better, and the final team to talk about, which you really don't have to say a whole lot about, San Diego Dynasty. Dynasty, the missing Sunday for the first time, ending up in the third seed, going into Sunday on Chicago, was really kind of like an eye-opener, losing their first two prelim games of the season. So, expect them to be coming back in full force. I know they've been working really hard here, as we'll hear from Ryan Greenspan in a minute.
Yeah, I can't wait to pick Ryan's brain about that, actually. Dynasty lost their first two prelim games of the season so far on Saturday, and they lost two games on Saturday, and that really kind of put the nail in the coffin for their ability to move on to the semifinals. So they finally missed a semifinal matchup. Didn't have to play in a relegation game. And then you have, like we talked about, right when we came in, was Art Chaos. And I think that's one of the craziest stories of the year. Art Chaos, highly touted when they first came in this season. When you look at the names that are on that roster, but then again, names on the back of jerseys do not alone win tournaments. But, come on, we're talking about Konstantin Fedorov, Miska Kiesnev, Alexander Birnikov. Those are some of the best players ever to pick up a gun. And you'll hear us talk about the top players on these big teams in using those words, and rightfully so. But those three guys, man, just those three guys alone, you get those guys, that core, if that's your core, and then add in Sergei Slonaiskov, who also has really emerged in the past couple seasons as an equal to them on the field. So those four guys combined with, the best snake player from France, Axel Godin, and all the guys they have on that roster, definitely the fans and, all the insiders, the people that, are watching every single game. Really thought they'd have a better showing of it this year. They've smashed people in the Challengers division and winning both the times that they've been down there, the first event and the last event. But still, you know, chinks in their armor. And so this is kind of a redemptive moment for them because they're back in the Champions division. And can they actually, you know, not just maintain their spot for World Cup, but are they actually going to start contending for wins here with that crazy high-powered roster that they have?
Yeah, well, with all the hype leading up into the MAO when we first saw them, you know, after watching them just smash people in Dallas and take first place in the Challengers division, Dynasty really exposed the chinks in their armor the very first game of MAO on that field and played it really well. And they didn't win a single game after that. So, you know, they kind of took that to heart, come back now, go through Chicago, blow through the Challengers division again. We saw them annihilate VCK in the finals, but, you know, VCK, we're going to see them in the other bracket. But, you know, Art Chaos, you know, really, you know, I don't expect to see them go 0-5 again like they did at MAO.
Well, the scary thing, though, is that this layout is, I think there is a little more, there's definitely more aggressive options than we had at the Mid-Atlantic Open, but it is a rather similar layout. You know, there are options in that backfield. There's lots of off-the-break shooting options. And, you know, so if I was Art Chaos, I'd be kind of like, oh, no, I'm looking at this layout thinking, man, we're getting, you know, similarities from the Mid-Atlantic Open layout, but we'll see. You know, so the next bracket, second bracket is Houston Heat, Tampa Bay Damage, Moscow Red Legion, Omaha Vicious, and Houston VCK. And Houston VCK making their first appearance here in the Champions Division. But kind of a cool, it's really cool story, actually, not just kind of a cool story. I mean, VCK, they had a great divisional run and then decided to, you know, to take the plunge, move into the pro division, and they've done very well. They've made the semifinals, all three events, and they beat Red Storm in order to make it into the Champions bracket. So, you know, but this is one of those things. This is a huge test for them. Yeah,
I mean, I've known Matt Jackson, John Jackson, and even little Ian since they were knee-high to a grasshopper, you know what I mean? To watch these guys come up and, you know, build a pro team and get all the way to this level, you know, hats off to them for everything that they've done. But, I mean, this is the big boys now. You know, you want to play with the big boys, then you better show up to play with your game face.
But I think that this layout really could help them out. They're great at gunfighting. They don't make too many stupid moves. Their timing is starting to develop, and this is the layout I really think could play to VCK's advantage.
Yeah, and, you know, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
I mean, the rest of the bracket's pretty tough too.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough. I mean, they have to play Heat, Damage, Legion, Vicious. You know,
yeah.
We're talking about teams that have won championships, and then Vicious took second at the first event.
And teams that know how to play that style of play as well.
Yeah. So. But you know, Heat looked really good at the last event. It was impressive to see Houston Heat finally, you know, again catalyze that new lineup, and that was the same story that the Ironmen had this year, same story Impact had this year. But Heat finally able to get it all together. Ryan Moorhead played amazing at the last event, finally rehabbing off that partially torn Achilles tendon that he had, and as we all know, that's like the worst injury that you could get in sports. But he was able to really rebound from that, and just stellar performance from him. Houston Heat look really good in that second place finish.
Yeah, I mean, Houston Heat and Tampa Bay Damage are two teams that are so fast, you know, have so many small, fast guys that are very athletic, but they're also very smart and experienced, you know, so they can play that up in your face, you know, come at you type game, you know, just like Damage can, you know. So, I mean, this is going to be a true test for them. Once we get out there and, you know, play the first day, play the second day, and all the teams start adjusting, you know, is VCK going to be able to make those adjustments? We know the other teams in the bracket can. Moscow Red Legion, they played a lot better last event than we had seen from them. There's another team that, you know, rebuilt with the French guys, you know, coming over from the Tauntauns. And, I mean, it's the PSP this year. You know, every single bracket is a tough bracket. Every game is a hard game. You know, all the teams are getting better. You know, everybody's more experienced. Everybody's better at making adjustments. You know, like looking at these two brackets, I think this is just about as balanced as, you know, a bracket could get.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. And then Damage won this event last year, so, and they're hungry for it. So it's across the board, but that's what we've seen all year long. I mean, since the evolution of the champs and the challengers divisions, it's made, like you were just saying, every single game important and every point important too. So yeah, it's going to be crazy. So looking forward to hear from Ryan Greenspan, who's going to be our first guest. So stick around. We're going to be right back. San Diego Dynasty, one of the best in the business. Ryan Greenspan. We'll be right back. Stick around.
Being a snake player, diving around a lot, you're crawling a lot, and the geo can outstand my beating it up down the snake. I can shoot straighter with that gun than I've ever shot in my life. The bunkers are getting smaller and smaller. You really need to play tighter and tighter. Having a small gun like a Geo 3 has helped me evolve my game and be able to play tight spots. My name is Billy Bernaccia. I play for San Antonio X Factor. My gun is a Geo 3.
This is the Earth. The Earth is beautiful. Earth is where we play paintball. It is important to recycle in order to save the Earth. Do not recycle custom paintball jersey designs. Get what you pay for. Get a fresh original design at rosalife.com.
There are massive opportunities, both for the sport of paintball and for your business. If we are successful in taking our sport to another level, unite with Paintball Access in our quest to elevate paintball and broadcast it to the world. There are advertising packages available for any size business. Join us. Advertise with PBA and help us change the sport for the better, forever. Welcome back here. Have San Diego Dynasty's Ryan Greenspan. Ryan, how you doing? You guys won the second event, took fifth of the last event. You've been traveling as always. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I'm having fun playing paintball, and we're focusing on this fourth event, which, like you said earlier, is a very, very important event. This kind of decides the teams that are going to be playing at the World Cup.
Yeah, so you guys are looking at Art Chaos, Impact, Ironmen, and 187 Crew. Right. How you feeling about that?
We're feeling pretty good. A lot of teams or a lot of people look at it like, okay, we have the hard divisions, and a lot of people are like, oh man, it would suck to play these teams. Well, it sucks to play us too. Each team has its own hurdle to get over, and I think that everybody is going to be playing really hungry and very tough.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you played the West Coast Open last year, and with the champs and the challengers situation, knowing you have to, and you got last year, you guys had a situation where you came on real strong at the beginning of the year and then kind of faded out towards the end of the year. Mm-hmm. Is that something that you guys are actually talking about, or is it in the back of your mind?
Well, it's always in the back of your minds. If you come off of a fifth place, it's like, hey, what do we need to do to turn it up a little bit? But if you look at our matches at the last event, it was really, really close. Like you said, the only two matches that we've lost in the prelims were those two games on Saturday. Mm-hmm. Our Houston Heat game was filled with a lot of penalties. Mm-hmm. Which, in every penalty, Oliver went back into the box, and then he came out and goes right to the entire game in the box. And the damage game was really close. Again, we both suffered a couple penalties, but I think what kind of kicked off a bad start was that very first point. I don't know if you noticed, but 4 guys broke early, and it still came down to a 2-on-1 . So that right there was the 1-point swing that could have won or lost the match for us.
Yeah, because it was a 5-4 game.
Yeah, so it was tough, and it was so close. So to say that we've completely fallen off is a bit of a stretch.
Well, I wouldn't say that at all.
Or we fizzled out a little bit, or we slowed down.
I'm just saying, but I'm not saying you're slowing down or fizzing out. I'm just looking at the standings and how things worked out. You guys smashed everyone at the beginning of the year. Right. You won the second event. You guys won 2 events last year.
And now we're fizzling out.
No, that's not what I'm saying. but at the same time, for the first time, actually, you had a situation where you lost 2 games in a day. That hasn't happened all year. That was your first prelim loss ever, and also seeing what happened at the end of last year. And now, all that being said, it's I mean, as we all know now, with the parity of the league, it's so hard out there. I mean, all the teams are so good. So the fact that, first of all, to win a tournament is incredibly difficult. To even make it to the semifinals is incredibly difficult. I mean, X Factor had a situation where, they were either going to be playing for relegation or playing in the semifinals, and
that hinged on that 1 point.
Yeah.
They were all on the sidelines trying to help us out, as a matter of fact, and it's crazy how, like you said, cutthroat it is. And I think I've done countless interviews. I've been up in the box with you guys commentating about how difficult it is, and literally it's a 1 point game. 1 point decided damage going on, X Factor going down, and us not making it to Sunday, or a complete flop where we both would have made it and damage would have been playing for relegation. So it's literally that close.
Yeah, and the same thing happened in MAO. So it's not like it just happened in Chicago. It's been happening all year.
Yeah.
Yeah, Todd, I mean, you've been familiar with the Dynasty program. Over the year, I mean, you play with them, you won championships with them. We've been watching these guys come up since they were kids. But I would make the argument that this is probably, if not the strongest, definitely one of the strongest Dynasty lineups that we've seen ever. I was actually having this conversation, I can't remember who it was with, but was talking about how there's no holes in the lineup whatsoever, and how that you could potentially see this same lineup for years to come. Is that something that you would agree with?
Absolutely. I think that, and we spoke about it briefly at the beginning, or the last one we did, is it's great to have the influx of younger talent, because it keeps us, I guess, you said since we were kids, so I guess now we're a little older and not a kid anymore.
Yeah.
But so it's good to have that influx of young talent to keep us young.
Yeah.
And competing, because obviously we're fighting for each other to make sure that I don't want to see anybody else lose on my team. So it's definitely good to have that fire under there. Spica jumping around and doing all sorts of nonsense, and then Brandon, he's pretty calm but still the same kind of thing. And it's great to bring those guys into a winning program and have them help us. Want to win again.
Well, speaking of also. I think Brandon Short, you're speaking of Brandon Short, I think Brandon Short has really come on. I mean, he seems to be setting the pace for you guys. Todd, what would you think about that?
I really feel like in MAO.
Not a shocker, though.
No, not at all. In MAO and Chicago, we talked about this before, the guy that goes out there and just really sets the tone early, and in MAO is definitely the case, getting up there on the, on the snake side, shooting people across the field and then making moves and, really kind of breaking games open and being alive. It's just like the thing about Dynasty is that everybody on the team has a high level of talent in every attribute level across the board. So when you have a high level of talent across the board amongst several guys, then you don't see a lot of mistakes. And then when the guy next to you is playing well, then it's easier for you to play well and stay in your game. So I really think that Brandon Short, like he said, having these new younger guys, the guys that they're younger, but they're also kind of old in paintball. Like they're younger in age, but they do have a lot of experience. They're smart players. Tyler Harmon has been playing since he was pro, since he was 14 years old or something like that, right? 14, 15. Brandon Short, he's been playing pro since I believe 05 or 06, so he knows how to play the game of paintball, and he really stepped up for Dynasty this year, and it's no surprise because he's such a smart, talented player.
Well, and I also think real quick is that I think he's starting to evolve fully into his 2 position. He plays the second attacker. You also play that position. It's the most complicated position that exists in paintball, and I think that he's finally starting to wrap his mind, or he's taken his experience and got into that new role. He's not the one anymore, and he played that for the majority of his career, and I really feel that he's starting to fill out into that role, and you play that role, so you could probably speak to that more than anybody.
Absolutely. He's the guy that if I'm off the field or if I'm watching, I'm looking for, hoping that Brandon's still alive in case, or if things start going badly, I'm hoping that Brandon's still in there. If you actually rewind back to the Dallas event, there was that game with Infamous that almost came down to the same repeat. But it was that last game of Brandon where it was kind of like a controversial point that kind of sent us both into penalty boxes. But I think he played that point awesomely, and he almost right there, showed that that position is what wins those matches in those games.
For sure. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys play at this next event. As always, I love watching Dynasty play. I mean, obviously you're a favorite at every event that you guys play in. But before we say bye to you, let's talk about a couple things. I want to talk about your play. I want to talk about your fantasy team, drills to run at this event. But let's talk about the travels. You know, I mean, you're hashtag Ryan's Travels. That's your thing. We lived together for a long time. You're always gone, going somewhere in the world. So where have you been recently? Talk me through it.
Well, recently we've been at a couple of weddings. The team took the last 2 weekends off. Went to Glenn Nakamoto, just got married up in Seattle.
Current Dynasty player, obviously.
Current Dynasty player, and then an old Dynasty player, Johnny Perchak. You know, Todd was up there also. Just got married in Northern California, so the whole team basically took time off to go to both of those events. But more recently, I did a Millennium event out in England,
and then
the Polar Bears. Yeah, we're actually doing really well.
Made the finals out there.
Yeah, we've made the finals the last time. Lost to Impact. Well, everybody's lost to Impact. We've actually played them in each of the events, so and lost to them. but those guys are doing really well. They're learning a lot. Oliver and I both play on their team. I stayed out there and did a little tour around England. Went to Stonehenge. Went and saw some of the cool old buildings and stuff like that around the countryside. Did another big clinic out there. So a lot of my travels have been clinics and things like that. I think I was headed to Cancun or right around the last time I did this breakdown. Did an event down there, and I've actually been documenting most of my trips with videos. Just bringing my GoPro around and editing quick little short videos.
Well, I would hope so if you're getting to go to all these cool places.
Yeah, and I like to show, because on my YouTube channel I share a lot of these pro tips that I've done. Just little 2 to 3 minute excerpts on here's how to play this bunker, or how to do this, or this is what I do in these situations. But I've kind of made that evolve into more of a travel side of things. So when I go to a clinic, for instance, we went to North Carolina for a street ball event, and so Yosh and I went there. We taught a clinic, so I put a little excerpt of that in there. We did a little street ball thing. I did a little the cribs. I don't know if you saw that.
Which one? I've seen a bunch of the cribs.
Yeah,
you kind of do them all wherever you guys go. Yeah, and it's always like the anti-cribs because you're not staying in the posh. Sometimes you guys get to stay in really cool places.
Yeah, but you're not going to see those.
Yeah,
you get to see the fun places that we get to stay in. And this time we stayed at the guys' bunk beds with Rocky Cagnoni, and it was
snoring. I did see that one.
It was hilarious. But in there, we also got to do a thing with the Wounded Warriors. Brought a guy out on the field. Is his first time back, or ever first time holding a paintball gun since his injury in Afghanistan, and it was actually pretty moving because he'd lost a lot of his motor skills, but as soon as he felt the paintball gun shooting in his hand,
wasn't he blind too?
He was blind also. So we wheeled him out there and just kind of let some guys run around, and he got to shoot at people, and just seeing the expressions on his face change and being able to hold the paintball gun and shoot it for the first time since his accident was pretty moving. And so I put a little bit of that in the video, and it's just kind of fun to be able to play around with the different types of things and activities that I can do in the area to show people, we don't just play paintball. There's other things that we do. And in the Cancun thing, we were doing some bungee jumping and swimming in these underground caves. It was pretty cool. So I like to show people there's other fun things to do out there. Obviously paintball's up here, but parlay it with a little bit of.
Well, is that something that you kind of set up ahead of time when you go on a trip? Do you actively look for, okay, well, I'm going to go to this place and I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, or does it kind of just come organically when you're there?
Sometimes, it more or less comes organically. I'm working on something that Blake and I did in Brazil, where we just kind of went out there and we're like, hey, let's just stay the extra week because we're here. And then we kind of found some fun things to do. Did some cool hikes and just did some beach things and went to all these barbecues. But sometimes they'll just come organically, and sometimes they'll say, hey, I want to go do this in Cancun, or I want to go do this in this place. So if the local field has a cool woods ball event, I think, or a field, I think Todd and I have done this in the past where we're like, all right, kids, we're all going in the woods and we're going to mess around and have some fun because honestly, you got to enjoy some of the paintball too. A lot of people get it's monotonous if they keep grinding and just beating themselves into the turf every weekend. Kyle Spica hadn't played in the woods in, I think, ever really since the very first time he played, and so we're like, hey, let's go out there, exactly. So people take that for granted, and I'm like, come on, let's go. My weekend off, I'll take some of the kids out and just.
Well, I think that's one of the fun. Paintball is everything. Paintball is woods ball. Paintball is speed ball. Paintball is big games. It's all paintball, man. Pump. machine guns, whatever.
You got to get good
it's still
at all
fun.
of it.
Yeah, you got to get good at all of it. It's it's like the true surfers appreciate the true waterman who's good at everything. You know, he's good at diving, he's good at body surfing, he's good at shortboards, longboards, whatever, big waves, small waves, it doesn't matter. Paintball, I feel, is a very similar thing.
Sure.
It's also cool about the traveling is that, instead of just going to the place, yeah, you get to see the tourist stuff, but at the same time, you also get to really truly appreciate that kind of what evolves from knowing the guys that actually live there. So when you go to that place, you're actually hanging out with the people and do what they do and go to the cool underground spots, eating the food, which can be a little scary sometimes. But I mean, we could talk about this forever. But let's head into your play. So you got a play set up for us here.
Yeah.
So we got another layout that's going to be a little bit tactical here, and so you got a play that you guys are going to be running this weekend in practice.
Yeah.
Talk me through it here.
So we're going to kind of, excuse me, lay it out similarly to how we did at the MAO, which is the event that we won. We're going to start with going wide out on the Dorito side. That's you can either go out to the corner or that Dorito just to be safe. Going short on the snake side. Now again, we're not sure exactly how it's going to play out, but chances are we think that shooting that snake side is a possibility. So again, if we can do it like MAO where we kept them out of that side, then we're going to double up this tall temple in the center. As you see right there, the guy's going to be shooting straight ahead to kind of slow them down on the Dorito side, just as a safety. Then we have one guy shooting across to try to eliminate that snake side. And then the fifth body is going to be in the can, shooting straight ahead. So as you see, we have 3 guns right there, basically slowing and stopping that snake side. Ideally, if a team does run out that way, we can get that kill off the break and then quickly capitalize on that. But again, it's going to be a slow field. But the Dorito side is a little bit more movable than it was at the last event. You're going to be able to make moves on that side.
Are you going to flood more bodies that way, you think?
Yeah, because if you see right here, we have that extra body over there. So we can easily kind of shift. It'll basically be the guy on the outside of that tall temple will shift across and get to the corner and help them, our front Dorito guy. Then the can guy those guys will switch and kind of just cross up really and try to slow the field down. Again, we haven't had a lot of time to practice it, so this is the most basic game plan, and this is kind of it seems kind of
the
boring.
default
That's
game
the
plan.
Default game plan in my
Because you can
mind.
do a lot with that.
Yeah, of course. You know, and we can easily pull a guy from that tall temple where we have that second body. We can easily bring him over to the can, or we can send him up the center, or we can kind of trail him out to the snake corner behind as like a little delay, a quick delay. So there's a lot of freedom in that center also that we can play with, just because there's that tall temple on the left of the X or the rocket, and so there's a lot of options to play with. So you kind of start with that basic game plan, call that standard. And then you can have a standard variation,
audible
1, 2, and 3.
That,
yeah,
depending
audible.
on what you're going to do from that.
So,
yeah.
and it also depends on what the call is from the sidelines. If there's we have all sorts of different calls.
Yeah.
Yeah. So depending on
Go ahead and go
where
through
guys.
those real quick.
If you could just.
I'm going to write them down on the back. I'll just hand it to you later.
Yeah, there we go. Todd, you need this? Oh, you already got one. Okay, cool. All right, so that's your play. Now, before we get into the drill that you guys are gonna run, or another drill you think that everyone could run this weekend in order to improve their chances on this particular layout for this event, let's talk about your fantasy team. And by the way, I believe you were the winner out of the 4 guys that are here. No, wait. No, actually, no, you weren't the winner.
Well, here's the thing.
Oh, actually, you took last place.
Okay.
Sorry, bud.
I was going to ask about that. Well, here's the thing. And actually, I need to make a change to mine because I've got some insider information that Loic from the Moscow Red Legion is not going to be there. He's having a baby.
Okay.
So I'm gonna pull him out and then kind of substitute. I'm gonna make that my audible.
Could be the difference.
Yeah, could be the difference.
All right. So who else you got on your team? You got Glenn Takamoto.
Glenn Takamoto, Yosh Rao. Those guys are going to be the dudes who are going to be standing in those towers and just shooting.
Just shooting people.
I'm trying to get the guys who are not going to get shot off the break. They're going to get some kills, but they're also going to be alive at the end. So I'm going to have the points won and the points. I'm trying to play those point things. So as you look at my roster, there's a lot of guys. Obviously, Brandon Short, we talked about him a lot. He's the number 2 like me, except he doesn't take as many risks, so he's probably going to be alive more often than I am. And he's way better.
But you're saying Loic is well in the first couple games. But you're saying Loic is not going to make it to the event?
I believe that he will not be at the event. So I could be wrong, but I'm going to have to double check that. But I might have to change my roster there. Joshua Met. Was I not supposed to say that?
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Say whatever you want.
Joshua Met. I had him on my fantasy team last time because I believed in him, and he unfortunately got in a car wreck like the day before and broke his knuckle. Luckily, it was only breaking his knuckle. I heard about the wreck and I saw the car, but so I'm gonna roll with him on this one because he was a good value, and I played against him the other weekend in London, and he did really well against us.
That's always a good thing.
Insider information again. Then I have Mike Paxton. I had him on my roster last time. Again, I want a guy that's going to be alive at the end of the game. Also, money, valuable.
Exactly.
So was that all? John Woodley, get some offense. A little bit of offense.
And Woodley's been coming up too.
And I've been watching their matches, and he's been doing really well on that Dorito side. He took the last European event off, so maybe he's gonna be fresh. I know that those guys kind of get ground down a little bit. So now I just need to get one guy to replace. Do you have any recommendations? I know you have.
I'm going to keep my insider information to myself.
You have stats on stats somewhere in here.
No, that's okay. It's all right. I want you to pick, and then I'll see how our teams
From what I understand, all employees
of
PBA and their
we can't actually win.
Are not allowed to win. So therefore, you may as well.
But just for bragging rights, I want to finish about just for bragging rights. Yeah,
okay.
just so I can just say it. So, and then so before we bring our next guest out, Marcello Margott's going to be joining us next.
Okay.
What drill do you think these guys can run here in order to just have the best chances at this next event?
Well, it's kind of tough. Obviously, a good breakout drill would be good, to try to get those kills off the break. Mm-hmm. But I noticed at the MAO event, diving into that first temple on the snake side was really important. So what I would do is I'd get a guy on your same team, on your opposite team. Both of you guys would run and slide into this first temple, which we call the God, and you basically get in a one-on-one gunfight, because whoever controls this zone at the end of the day is going to be able to, have that momentum to be able to get into the snake. So basically, you're in a one-on-one gunfight straight ahead. So you want to do a quick lateral slide into there. I think I discussed some of the things that I have on my YouTube channel, and that is one of them. Being able to get your gun up quickly and effectively is going to help you guys a lot on this. So basically, you're sliding into there. Getting your gun up on your mirror, trying to gain dominance, and then once you have dominance, you can decide, in the event, you can decide if you want to press it into the snake or just hold that whole line. Because you know that when you have that, the rest of your team doesn't need to worry about the guy getting into the snake.
And also it's an important drill, because with the fact that it's going to be lots of guns up on you, if you're going to try to make that snake off of the break, you have to work your way into that spot. And that's just one of those fundamental skills in a drill that you should run on a regular basis anyway. But for this particular layout, very important that that's something that you bring into the repertoire at practice right before the event.
Yeah, and if you don't have a teammate to play against or an opponent, you can set up a couple targets. Put one in your mirror and then maybe put in a second one, so you have to shoot it, wrap around, put someone in really quickly, and then dive into the snake. Because once you make it into the snake safely, that's definitely where you want to be. And that's where you're going to be able to make the damage and make the difference in the game.
Yeah, which is going to help loosen things up on that dominant D side too, if you can get guys up the field in the snake. Well, hey, Ryan, thank you very much for sitting in here with us.
My pleasure.
Also, anything you want to pump? You got clinics coming up, or your YouTube channel where these people can go and check out these drills and see your adventures?
Yeah, right now I don't have any clinics scheduled yet, but if you'd like to schedule a clinic with your team or your local field, I'd be more than happy to. You can email me at ryangreenspan18@gmail.com. And you can follow all my fun travels and my adventures on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Ryan Dynasty, or on my Instagram. I have a bunch of fun pictures, and it's just at Ryan Greenspan. So it's pretty easy to find me.
Well, thanks again, man. And Dynasty playing 11:15 is their first game against Art Chaos on Friday, so that's going to be a great one. And then 12:45 against Impact, the team who won the last event. You guys got a tough bracket, and then you got to play the Ironmen on Saturday and 187 crew to finish out the prelims. So Stick around. We got Marcel Margot from the Ironmen coming up next. See you in a second.
With the engineered materials, cuts, and types of padding that the pros demand. Choose your colors, add personalized names and numbers, and team and sponsor logos without any hidden design needs. It's all inclusive. Go to tag-customs.com to get started today on your team's custom jerseys.
He is good enough to play. I'm an aggressive person, still to this day. Anytime I play, even if I play Call of Duty, I'm running at you nonstop.
Do you have an issue with them? No, I'm just...
You can speak up, Vito. The camera's facing towards me. This is freaking huge to me, and I want to see what you're gonna do, okay? Because 9 out of 10 people They give you a hint. When they go bunker somebody, the idiot runs right into their freaking barrel, okay? When their barrel's shooting, pounding one way, they run right into it to bunker him, guaranteeing their death. Well, figure it out. Don't do that.
Is there anybody here from Sweden? Where's the Swedish guy? There he is.
Massive opportunities, both for the sport of paintball and for your business. If we are successful in taking our sport to another level, unite with Paintball Access in our quest to elevate paintball and broadcast it to the world. There are advertising packages available for any size business. Join us. Advertise with PBA and help us change the sport for the better, forever. Welcome back to The Breakdown, brought to you by Paintball Access. Thank you guys for tuning in. Every dollar that you guys spend on the webcast goes directly to our production budget to keep trying to produce things that are going to take paintball to the next level, things that we need in the sport here. So a very much heartfelt thank you for tuning in, and also tell all your friends too. So we have Marcel Margot here, Los Angeles Ironman. Man, how you doing?
Good, Matty, always good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty spectacular. Todd seems to be doing pretty spectacular. Spectacular. It's one of my favorite words. All right, so speaking of spectacular, man, you played so well at the last event. You left it all out there, man. I saw you just almost collapse after that loss that you guys took in that semifinal matchup to Houston Heat. You guys lost 3-6, but it was closer than the score dictated. It didn't even get to 7. Heat wasn't able to put 7 points on you guys, but you were playing that 2 position, which you normally play. You were playing the 2, the second attacker on the snake side. You normally play the 1 or the 2, normally the 1 on the D side of the field. So for you to come over to the snake and play the 2 on that side, which is arguably the hardest position to play in paintball, and play it as well as you did, it was pretty impressive. What was going through your mind at the last event?
Just do whatever I could for my team, you know, especially Alex Goldman. He was playing on fire, you know, and so absolutely I knew that if I did my job, he was going to go down and shoot 5 people, you know, and really my only job on that field was to try to get a G off the break and then maintain them so he could get in the snake and go all the way down. And anything after that was just kind of added bonus, you know. So really I was just playing for him, to be honest, because he was playing so well.
Yeah, he was playing pretty well. Yeah, and Toe Camel and Daniel Labarra were also playing pretty good for you guys on that side too.
Yeah.
And I think that is, and Todd, you know, you've worked with a lot of young teams over the years, a lot of young players that are trying to come up. We're going to have, speaking of one of those guys, we're going to have Nate Schroeder on here shortly, after Marcello, who you used to play with Nate. He's an up-and-coming guy. But cultivating that talent is tough. But I think that's one of the cool things about the Ironman right now is I think that heading into this next event, this oh-so-important West Coast Open, because if you suck at this event, you're not playing for in the Champions Division for World Cup, the most important event of the year. I mean, yes, you can still win the Challengers Division, but obviously not nearly as coveted of a title as that. You know, that's one of those signposts in your career if you can pull one of those off. You've won a World Cup. Yes, you've won the World Cup twice with the Ironman before you went on another venture, but that's for a podcast. But at the same time, man, you looked really good, and it was cool to see the young guys like Chris Catt, like Daniel Labarra, like Toe Camel, the guys from the royalty camp, even young Brandon Cornell played really well too. I just started to see the spark of something that could be a winning team. And I know that you're really big on trying to instill the confidence into those guys. But Todd, how hard is it to before I get Marcello's answer, how hard is it to try to convince young players that they can win, that they can be that paintball god if they just believe in themselves?
Well, You got to give them opportunities. You know, definitely you have to put them out there and, you know, let them fend for themselves and let them prove it. But, you know, at the same time, it's got to be within them too. You know, greatness isn't just like, hey, we're going to teach you how to be great today. You know, we're going to teach you all the tools.
Wish it was that easy.
Yeah, right. We're going to teach you all the tools that you need, you know, to go out and fight this war. You know, but then we're going to give you the opportunities. It's up to you to go out there and prove it.
Yeah. What did you see out of the Ironman that you thought was interesting at this last event?
Well, I felt like, you know, it's kind of like he was saying, I thought that he and Alex Goldman did a really good job on that snake side. And a lot of those younger guys got their opportunities to go handle business on the Dorito side. And, you know, they went 3-1 in the prelims, and it was, you know, they're just getting heavy snake play. But those guys on the Dorito side were also contributing a lot, you know, seeing, you know, guys like Ibarra and Kat, you know, get out there and get their opportunities, you know, and honestly, like, I thought early Shane Pestana did a good job playing in that back center, getting kills on the break, you know, whether he lived or not directly after that. But, you know, I thought that there was a lot of good opportunities for those young guys to get reps in that tournament, and I thought that, you know, they did well because the team played well across the board.
Which I think then now heading into the West Coast Open, you guys play Art Chaos at 9:45 first thing, pretty much to start out the day. That's going to be great. And then you play Upton 187 crew, who's been the Iceman in those relegation games on Sunday, preserving their Champions Division spot. And then you play Dynasty and Impact on Saturday. So that's going to be a pretty tough way to close the tournament out. But hey, again, like we've been talking about, there are no easy games out there. There's no easy points. That's just the way it is. So what are you kind of telling the team right now heading into this event?
We took a few weekends kind of off just to relax, and everybody was doing traveling, you know, people were over in Europe playing, and then clinics and stuff like that. And so now we've gotten back into the grind last weekend, actually. And I think the biggest thing is just to learn from the last tournament, because we finally made it to that semifinal match. You know, we made it at World Cup, but it's pretty much a completely different team now. So now it's like the younger kids, Brandon Cornell, Chris Catt, Daniel Ibarra, all those Toe Camel, you know, realizing that we can take that next step, you know, and I think everybody agrees that we could have, at least on our team agrees, that we easily could have won that heat match if, you know, I think if there was just more confidence and people played a little bit looser. You know, it was a lot of the kids' first time playing on that stage in the semifinals in the biggest league, you know, in the world, you know, so I think the biggest thing is just taking that next step at this event.
It was an entertaining match for sure. You also did very well in the prelims to assure the fact that you could play in the semifinals. But you played some close games. It was 7-6 against Legion, 7-5 against Impact. You had some close ones out there. When
Those are the best ones, though.
They're the best ones to call. I love calling those games because it keeps you on your toes. But I think that when you get in those games and you take those victories, confidence is so important at this level. And we're going to have Raney Stanczak come up here and talk about Impact. And I think that one of the reasons that Impact has done so well is they are starting to really feel that confidence. You know, we always talk about that's one of those cliches, winning is contagious. And when you start to put those wins up in those close games, whether it be in the prelims, because again, you know, with the way the league is now, I mean, any one of these teams could pull out a victory at a tournament if they go on a run. So when you win those close games, and then the shot game 5-4, you know, I mean, that was a close one too. The loss to Vicious, you know, Vicious was the only team other than Heat to beat you guys at that event. That was a 3-6 game.
They just have our number this year. I don't know what it is. Todd just knows exactly what we're doing. They shoot us all on the break. There's an
Ironman Vicious rivalry.
There's definitely one building. I feel it.
Well, no, I think because I've seen Vicious defeated the Ironman in the World Cup in, what was that? I can't remember when it was. This was like maybe 3 years ago. But there's always been heated battles between Vicious and the Ironman. So, and the fact that Vicious is the best Vicious we've ever seen, and this new incarnation of the Ironman, I feel also is the best team.
Modern.
The best, well, since the World Cup. Since your World Cup victory, since the mid-2000s. This is the best Ironman team that we've seen. So I'm just really excited to see you guys play because, you know, Art Chaos 187 Dynasty Impact is a pretty crazy bracket. And you guys are going to have to bring, obviously everyone's going to have to bring the best game, but in order to make it to the semifinals, you're going to have to beat. But that will, you know, but if that does happen, then you guys will be mentally primed to finally win a tournament, which will be a huge momentum setter heading into the World Cup.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so I'm excited to see it, man. So make sure that you guys let everyone know, man, the Ironmen are legit this year finally, and it's cool to see you guys that, you know, and as the year went on, you know, it was fifth at the first event, 6th at the second event. You guys didn't have to play in a relegation match, but you didn't make the semis, and you finally made it there and lost to Heat, and Heat looked great. So that's a big team, obviously. So it was a good performance for you guys in Chicago. Can't wait to see West Coast Open. But you, like Ryan, have also, you're one of the, you know, those traveling paintball Johnny Appleseed just planning the the
going
paintball mindset everywhere when you go. So where have you been? Where were you last?
The last month has been crazy. You know, right after the Chicago event, we had a tournament in London. I play with Alex Goldman, Team Hulk over there. They're also a die team. First event we lost this season, we got second place, kind of a bummer. But after that, I went on a pretty cool little trip, went through Italy, which I've never been. It's now like one of my favorite places.
Because you did it kind of like awesome. A solo thing for the first time in a long time, right?
Yeah, 100%. So went down to Naples, took a little boat across to Capri, which is an awesome little island, went to Sorrento, went to Pompeii, which is cool. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Pompeii. It made me like really stoked to actually go there.
Know the story, haven't seen the movie.
Okay, for those of you that don't know the story, a volcano above this little city erupted, hundreds of years ago and just killed everything in the city. So it's pretty cool to see. Then after that, I had a clinic in Holland. That was really good, and then spent the rest of the trip in Ibiza, which was a blast.
Nice.
Exactly. Then I came back and did a 48-hour trip to Germany to play in the DPL. It's like kind of like the CXPL where it's a season, so there's no winner at the end of the tournament. Played with Dai's flagship team over there coming at you, and we won 4 out of our 5 games and maintained the first place spot, so it was good.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that German league's pretty big. There's actually some regional leagues. I think the regional leagues actually in the United States are doing real well right now. Some awesome Texas leagues, California, East Coast, but also in England, Germany. Those regional leagues are really strong right now. Mm-hmm. And that's where the next roster of awesome players are going to come to filter into the pro leagues eventually. So, because how is it out there? I mean, how's the competition?
It was good. The competition was really good. Syndicate's one of the best teams out there. They're the ones who actually beat us.
I played on Syndicate
they do pretty well
in Amsterdam once.
Did you?
Yep.
Okay, nice. You know the guys.
Yeah.
Right on. Yes, competition is good. Paintball's growing everywhere, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's.
And you guys are helping by going.
100%.
Yeah. By this, you guys going over there and traveling and playing these tournaments. Guys get to see higher level players and play against them. That's what makes these guys better. Not only the competition of themselves, out there constantly playing the same game that we're playing, internationally. The chance that they get to play against better players definitely helps a lot.
Well, that's other than the webcast or booking a clinic. I mean, there's really not a lot of ways to get, especially that first person, like be able to actually come up to me and be like, how did you just do that last point? What were you thinking when you that off the break shot and then you ran here? Like, what was going on in your mind? Like, that's a very important thing to kind of propagate the skill level across the globe, and it is cool that guys like you and Ryan are able to kind of be able to live that life and do that. But it's got to be pretty trying, though. Obviously it's amazing, and it's an amazing life period for you to be able to travel around and do all this stuff. But does it kind of drain you every now and then?
It doesn't, Matty. Everywhere I go, I have a blast. We're playing paintball, tons of it. We're helping people. We're learning. There's a lot of learning, because the style is so different everywhere you go. So it's an awesome experience. I can't complain one bit.
Well, we'll check in with you soon, and maybe we'll go on a podcast and talk a little bit more thoroughly about some of the adventures that you've been on, for sure. But let's talk about the play that you think needs to be run in practice this weekend to get ready for this field coming up.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so we kind of talked a little bit about this. Break it down.
I think this field obviously plays a lot like MAO. We're going to have a person go to that tower on the Dorito side.
This is a breakout drill, right?
No, this is the actual play.
Oh, sorry.
This is the actual play, right?
Yes.
You go to that tower, you shoot cross field, because I think it's going to be huge to get that snake side G. There's a lot of lanes there. You have your second tower guy. He's going to go to the other side and shoot the Dorito side, because there's 2 gaps. You can shoot the Dorito one and the corner. And then our third guy's gonna be in that back center shooting cross. We're trying to really kill that Dorito side, because I think people can make moves down it. And then our runner on the Dorito side is gonna be headed out to that Dorito side corner. I think it's probably the safest to make. And then our 5th guy will be in that snake side temple. I think it's gonna be really difficult to go anywhere further on that snake side. So honestly, I think you're going to see a lot of people just going to that bunker and then playing heads up and trying to get in the snake from there. But there's just so many bunkers that could lock it down. Like that temple right there, the tall temple on the Dorito side can absolutely shut you down. He has every single gap past that snake side temple, whether you want to go to the corner or get into the snake. So I think it's going to be just like MAO, where it's a lot of short plays. You go in there, play as tight as you can, and just kind of wait it out. Wait until the chaos kind of stops, and then you make your moves.
Yeah. I think we're going to see a lot of that at this event, very kind of similar to MAO. I do think that there are more offensive capabilities on this particular layout. That D side looks pretty strong. Are you going to be D side, snake side?
I'm not really sure yet. We'll find out more this weekend. We play against the Russians for practice. I think I might end up playing that back center and working my way over with Alex on the snake side. We still don't know where we're going to put him because he's been out with an injured hamstring. I don't know if you guys know that.
Yeah, how is he doing?
He's good. He's just not playing right now, taking it easy, which is, there's no reason to play him once he gets in there.
He did say, because I talked to him when it happened, and I was like, well, is this, I mean, are you going to be able to play next event? Is that something we need to bring out? And he's like, I'm going to be good for the next event. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
It's definitely hurt, but I'm not actually hurt.
Let's be honest. You wouldn't be able to keep Alex Goldman out if he had to play the back center.
Exactly.
Yeah,
for sure.
He's not going to pull himself.
Because he did that at the European event, and that's what he did. He just played the back center. He didn't sit himself.
He did. We needed him too. And you know what? It was a bummer. It was the fastest I've ever seen him run when he hurt himself. He was going to the snake on the break and just looked super fast and then got up super slow. It's like, damn, it sucks. But yeah, he'll definitely be playing.
So you're not quite sure yet, possibly snake side, maybe depending on the play, maybe D-side 1 point, snake side the next point?
Yeah, honestly, whatever the team needs, whatever Shane kind of sees fits. At practice, I did do a lot of going to that snake side temple because I was having success getting there and beating my mirror, gunning up, and that is like a very patient side where you have to get in that spot, that little snake side temple, and kind of beat your man in front of you and have good gun skills, and just kind of control that side of the field, because again, there's a lot of bunkers that can shoot cross field and just keep you from getting in the snake.
This is a gunfight heavy field. This is going to be control lanes, gunfight, and I think even more so than MAO because that you can get out. MAO snake side was really, it was a barren wasteland over there. It was incredibly hard. I mean, Spica played a couple points and was just, dig a trench.
It was a little more rewarding though. That's the thing. It was a little more rewarding, I feel, because the bunkers were bigger on the snake side. So now they're a little bit smaller. So you get in there and you could wrap on people, but you can't really do much on the inside. You just it's really patient side.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see how it plays, especially this weekend against the Russians. They always give you a good look.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, let's talk about your fantasy team coming up here.
All right, I like this. I feel
very
good.
So who did you pick for your fantasy team and why?
Clint Moore is my first pick. He was an absolute steal, $900, plays for Art Chaos, and I'm just hoping they give him some playing time because I played with that guy last year in the Millennium Series on London Nexus, and he's a phenomenal player. He's a really good shot off the break, and I think this field is going to be one off the break. There's a lot of kills that you can make, so he's my first guy that I have. Ronnie Dizon, he was on my team last event too. I just have a lot of faith in him right now. He doesn't cost a bunch, and he's getting a lot of kills. We practiced heat the weekend before last weekend, and he was doing really well playing both sides of the field. Then obviously Alex Goldman, he's just a beast, nothing else to say about that. And then A-Rod, I think the center of this field is kind of tailor-made for him. At practice he was playing it really well. He was even playing the snake side well, Dorito side. I think he has a lot of confidence right now, so got him, and then I put myself on there because I'm hoping I'm going to do well.
Trying to bet on yourself, man.
Exactly.
Why not?
Why would if I don't have myself on there, that means I think I'm going to do bad, right? Yeah. So I'm going to put myself in there. And then Chris Cat, there's a lot of kills that could be done on that Dorito side.
I got Chris Cat on my team as well, too.
He's good price, and I think he's going to do really well. Oliver Lang, you kind of can't ever count him out, right? He played phenomenal in MAO. Again, I think this field is kind of very similar. And the center is wide open for him to go up there, get his kills, do his thing. As long as he doesn't spend most of the time in the penalty box serving other people's penalties, we'll be good. Yeah. That was what hurt me at the last event. And then last, Daniel Ibarra, that's my boy. He's also a really solid player. He stays alive, he's been playing really good at practice, playing aggressive. He can play anywhere on this field. So feel good about it, yeah.
Nice. All right, well, let's check out the winner from Chicago and see, out of all the 4 guys that we had, who did the best. Oh, and look at that, it was Marcello Margot.
All right.
He won
Rainey in second.
From Chicago.
Is this fantasy stuff?
This was fantasy.
Right on. Nice.
Yeah, from the last event. So it was you, Rainey, Nate, and then Ryan took last. That's why I was messing with
Who is actually in first place? This is just out of us 4, right?
It was a random guy from Ohio was in first place. This is just the 4 of you guys.
Oh, as our picks. That's right. No,
you did not win the fantasy. Overall, I think you were like 582nd or something like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, that's pretty far down there.
But
see
out
what
of the
happens.
4, you won.
I bet on my boys. That's why. I don't think these guys bet on their boys. They don't have faith in their team. You know what I mean? So it's like that's on them. Maybe Rainey's gonna hit us with something else. We'll see. But cool. Let's go for that again. Did we have an inside bet? Anything like that?
All right. Well, that's between y'all. That's between y'all. All right, well, let's talk about the drill that that you're going to run. So we saw the play, saw your fantasy team. Let's talk about this drill. Like, what drills do you think are important for everyone to run this weekend? And obviously, in particular, because you can run these drills at any time to get better at certain facets of the game. But every single layout, it changes every event, and different elements of the game become predominant. So what are you thinking for this one?
I think it's really important. Again, like I said, I'll stress it over and over. Shooting people off the break on this field is going to be huge because there's such big lanes. So I would just have 2 people start out on one side, as you see on your screen where the 2 X's are going to that tall tower, and the back center or snake side can, however you want to call it. And then on the opposite side, you have 2 runners. And they basically get to choose if they want to go to that snake side temple, the snake corner, or the snake. On the Dorito side, they
probably should switch it up too every now and then.
Exactly, yeah, and it's totally their call. On the fly, they get to choose what they want to do. That keeps your shooters guessing as well. On the Dorito side, they can choose either the Dorito 1 or the Dorito corner. Those are really the only 2 variables. And what you want to do is have them run that over and over, and you just have your shooters go in there shooting heads up and then also shooting cross, because I think the cross shots are going to be really good too, Matty. So you do that 20, 30, 40 times just over and over, so the repetition is just muscle memory. You get so used to getting those kills, because I do believe that Sunday afternoon at this event, you're going to see teams playing a complete pocket because they're not going to be getting wide on that Dorito side. There's a really good shot from that snake side can that can shoot their runners right before that little cake. So even if they're going to the corner or the Dorito 1 or Dorito 2, it doesn't really matter because you're going to hit them well before that anyway. So doing those drills are extremely important. I would honestly run those as many times as you can, because I think you're going to see a lot of 3-on-4 type paintball come Sunday afternoon.
Awesome. Well, hey, man, we wish you the best at this next event. Can't wait to see you guys play. You do have a doozy of a bracket in front of you, our Chaos 187 Dynasty and Impact. But 9:45, one of the first games of the day on Friday, the 8th of August. So it's coming up real soon here, about a week and a half until the West Coast Open is about to go down. And the Ironmen definitely one of the teams to watch there. One of the most fascinating stories in paintball right now. And you played amazing at that last event. So I'm going to expect the same from you at this event.
If I end up playing the same position and it works out, awesome. I'm just trying to do whatever we can to get our team to the finals first. That's our next goal, and then getting that win would be awesome.
Well, you definitely could potentially get to the finals. It's up to you guys, though. So we're going to find out here in about a week and a half how the Ironmen do. Next up, we got Nate Schroeder from Vicious coming in here on the breakdown. So we'll be right back after this. Stick around.
There are massive opportunities, both for the sport of paintball and for your business. If we are successful in taking our sport to another level, unite with Paintball Access in our quest to elevate paintball and broadcast it to the world. There are advertising packages available for any size business. Join us. Advertise with PBA and help us change the sport for the better, forever.
Welcome back here to the breakdown. Got Nate Schroeder from Omaha Vicious and his coach, of course, Todd Martinez here from Omaha Vicious. So I'm kind of surrounded by Vicious members. Nate, how you doing, bud?
Great.
So at the last event, Vicious took 7th.
Yep.
And wasn't the event you guys wanted to have. Got kind of a slow start, but you kind of picked it up a little bit to save it towards the end. You beat X Factor in the relegation game, and you won your last game against the Ironmen, who actually had a great tournament. So you beat them 7-4, and then that game against X Factor was another 7-4 performance. How personally did you look at the last event? Did you feel that you really performed up to your potential at the last event?
Definitely not. I think Friday was a classic case of just not showing up. Nothing went my way personally. I can't speak for the whole team, but just kind of felt like, you know, head checking into balls, not making bunkers off the break I should have been, and just one of those days.
How frustrating is that as a front guy? And because a lot of people out there who are front guys who are listening to this who want to be in your situation one day, earn the right to play on a pro team. I've been there before. I know what that's like. But how personally did that feel at that event, knowing that Vicious had taken a 2nd place before you came on the team, and then you came onto the team as a pretty highly touted aggressive front guy, and Todd's going to give you reps, as we talked about in the breakdown before the last event. So heading into this next event, where's your head at?
I think I'm more mentally prepared than I have been. Now that I've got a couple events with the team, I'm a lot more comfortable, and I know my role, so I'm ready to get in there and get it done.
And then, so Vicious, I mean, you guys took 2nd at the first event, 7th at the past 2 events, but been winning those relegation games in order to stay in there. Just kind of like the Ironman, I really feel that this is I don't really think you can even make an argument that there's been a better Vicious team than the Vicious team that exists right now. The core is playing solid. Brian Border was one of the few bright shining lights of that first day. I thought he had a really good tournament, particularly in that first day, which was a rough day for Vicious. What are you guys going to change heading into this 2nd event, knowing that I mean, I feel the team's stronger, honestly, now than it was when it took 2nd place. It's just as far as pure personnel is concerned. But heading into this next event, I mean, you guys play VCK 2:15. You guys have the afternoon bracket. On Friday, you play VCK. Going to introduce them to the Champions Division. Red Legion, Heat, and Damage. So what's going on in the minds of Vicious right now?
Well, if you look at Dallas, we took 2nd in Dallas, played well in Dallas. MAO we also played pretty well and ended up playing for relegation. There was that situation where if we win our last game, we're in Sunday. If we lose our last game, we're playing for relegation.
Like X Factor was one of those, yes, exactly.
So we actually didn't play that bad at MAO, made some small mistakes. And then just like how Dynasty had one bad day out there, we had one bad day as well.
Yeah.
And really, I feel like we just need to keep working on the things that we set out to work on and just do those things better. I don't think we need to make a bunch of drastic changes. Guys just need to step up and play the best that they possibly can. We need to continue to talk, continue to play as a team, and continue to believe in ourselves, and we'll be just fine.
As far as personnel decisions, I really feel the front line is, well, across the board, Vicious is strong. I think that Zach Sherman and Parker Rosenthal are doing awesome. Matt Sossman is one of the highest ranked players in the league for a reason. He shoots guys off the break. He doesn't die very often. He's a great 3. He's a great support player. This is another one of those fields that the strength of Vicious could show. You have a pretty strong D side, and this could be a big event for you on that D side of the field. So, I mean, do you feel confident over there on that D side? I mean, is that something that you're looking forward to? I mean, I really think you could excel over there on that side of the field.
Yeah, most definitely. I think if teams want to, they can pick on that Dorito side and blow it out, but there's a lot of different options getting there. I think it's just going to be a matter of being really patient, and then once I get into this spot, capitalizing off of it.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to it because, as a coach, all you really can do is just give guys options, give them reps. And like you said, when Marcello was out here talking about the Ironman, is that you have to have confidence in your guys and give them opportunities to prove themselves. You're definitely giving Alex Borromeo, Nate, you're giving these guys opportunities to prove themselves. Are you going to continue to roll the dice with those guys? I mean, you don't have a deep roster. Everyone's good, but it's not like you have 12 dudes waiting there ready to roll.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, ask Nate. We got Nate and Alex over on the Dorito side. We got Brian and Shane on the Snake side. We only have 8 guys on our roster. Unfortunately, we lost Chris Hooker. I mean, like, how do you feel about having just an 8-man roster and getting those opportunities?
I wouldn't have it any other way. I think 2 lines with 5 guys on each one isn't necessarily the way to go in today's game, and the sooner you can get your starters on a roll and get them hot, the better.
Yeah, for sure. Well, all right, speaking about getting on a roll, it all starts in practice. So, Nate, you got a play for us that you feel needs to be run here in this weekend. So, talk me through this play real quick and its importance.
Yeah, so this play is primarily meant if you're down on points, you need a quick one. It's you're going to isolate the Dorito side by killing it off the break. So I've got, this is actually the guy that's going to do it. He's going to shoot Dorito side off the break, and then he's going to go straight up to that Dorito side of the X. Ideally, with these other 2 guys, as soon as they pop up, you're going to see that they're going to have 2 other guns. One guy shooting for the cake first, and then he's going to switch his gun outside to the widest guy if he tries for it. We have a guy in the Dorito tower shooting snake side just to keep him honest, and then another guy coming out wide to the tower shooting for the corner runner. And then playing it safe for the snake side. So kind of
like pocket, but then aggressive push.
Yep.
And I think that's, as we've all seen as things play out, is that you're going to have, okay, so you look at this field layout and you see, okay, back bunkers, they're definitely there. But because the D side could get a little loose, and then depending on how that snake side starts to play out, we always see these field layouts evolve. So Todd, I'm wondering, and Nate, also like to pick your brain about this too, is that how do you think that center is going to play out, and then how do you think the offensive options are going to play out as things progress in the tournament? We see it every single time.
Well, you know, on our team, we run what's called a pocket flow option 5 Omaha offense.
Wow, that's complicated.
What I mean?
That sounds complicated.
So it's like, you know.
Do you use the bullhorn to say that for the play?
Most times, you know, most times it's just like a head nod, an eye look. Like we use a lot of signals, you know, just like
winks and stuff,
like hand signals, you know, like
baseball,
you know, stuff like that. So,
the secret.
You know, it's kind of hard to pick up sometimes, but like there's a lot of stuff that we got to go through.
So you're not going to give me anything.
That's why we go into practice. You know, we go into practice. We go to practice, and we try and exercise as many things as possible.
So you just,
you know,
in practice, that's as many things as possible.
Yeah.
Figure out all the options.
Yeah, anything goes. Tons of drills. You know, anything that you could possibly think of. You know, go to practice and go try it. You know, that's why the teams that get, you know, the most amount of reps on the layout, you know, seem to always have the most success, because, you know, once you've exhausted all your options, you kind of figure out, you know, what you can and can't do. And when it comes down to it, you know, if you're going to practice and you're running out wide every time and you're making it, and then you're going to go to the tournament and be like, we're going to run wide every time because we made it, and then you get chopped up, and then all of a sudden you never practice playing, you know, in the inside, and you end up trying to do it and you're not comfortable with it. You're playing against guys that have practiced it, done it, and or being successful with it at the event from the beginning.
Yeah.
So, you know, you want to be able to have, you know, again, with your personnel, players that are flexible that can play all those spots, you know, which I feel we do have, you know, and, you know, you want to give those guys all those opportunities to play all those spots, you know, let guys play all over the field, and, you know, try and give everybody the most opportunity to see everything that's possible out on the layout.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, I mean, I know enough about all these teams. That's the interesting thing about the game, is that the more you know about the teams, the more you know about personal stories. I mean, you know, Nate, you moved down to San Diego to play this game. You know, you started with the Ironmen, it didn't work out. Kind of a heartbreaking story there, but you found a home with Vicious, and you have a big opportunity right now.
Yep.
So to me, you're one of the people that I want to watch play at this next event for numerous reasons. 1, your personal story. 2, the story of Vicious. 3, the fact that it's the West Coast Open, and if you suck at this event, that means you do not get to play at the World Cup in the Champions Division, and everybody knows that. So it's a heightened state of tension for everyone across the board, both in the Champs and the Challengers Division as well, too. So let's get to your fantasy team, Nate. Who did you pick on your fantasy team, and why did you roll with these guys?
All right, so getting into it, I just went straight back guys, whoever I could afford, get all of them. I got Dave Baines, I got Jason Edwards, Zach Yakimek, he's playing great.
Did you pick one front player?
I mean,
Kirill's kind of a front player, I guess?
Kirill is
not
playing
anymore.
Really front anymore.
Yeah.
But I'm really hoping that, you know, with Mike Paxton, Alec Rodriguez, they get a call off the break, and then A-Rod's going right up the middle and getting me even more G's. The strategy behind this is live off the break, get those points, and hang the flag, and get your G's off the break.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're definitely going to see a lot of bodies fall off the break for sure. But you know, that sometimes speeds things up. We'll see if that actually happens. But regardless, Nate, just want to wish you the best at the next event. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what you have to offer on that D side of the field. I think you got a bright future, like I keep telling you, in front of yourself. It's going to happen eventually. And, you know, you just got to shake it off, man, whatever happened at that last event. I know you got more in your tank for sure, too.
Definitely.
So it's going to be cool. So, yeah, check out Nate Schroeder on the D side. Omaha Vicious, their first game, 2:15 on Friday the 8th, August 8th. So, again, good luck, bro.
I have a quick announcement. Do
you have a quick announcement? Absolutely, yeah,
right,
definitely.
Cool.
Plug whatever you got to plug.
The weekend after Riverside, I'll be at my home field at DBS Outdoor Paintball Park and do a clinic, me and Alex Borromeo. So if you can make it out, please hit me up on Facebook or dbspaintball.com. Also, if you can't reach me at the clinic, you can also reach me online. I'm doing a thing with Positive Change USA, online paintball consulting. So if you want to get a hold of me and learn all my tips and tricks, reach out to me.
Yeah, and Alex is, I mean, you guys are kind of the, you know, quasi-success stories from that area. And the Pacific Northwest has always been a hotbed of paintball town. Some of the greatest ever have come out of that area. So,
so you better play good.
You got it, Coach.
All right, so check out Vicious at the West Coast Open. And also we got Raney Stanczak from Edmonton Impact, the last guest of the night here. So stick around, we'll be right back after this.
Going into these events, equipment's what matters. On our team, we're so talented. My job has fallen into like a role player's position. In order for Kyle or Brandon or Alex to make these moves, they need support so that we can win the tournament. And that's what I'm doing with this LV1. I'm able to go to a spot and get a lot of drop shots on people and really shoot just directly over a bunker where people think they're safe, and the next thing you know, I'm getting those kills. My name is Oliver Lang from San Diego Dynasty, and I shoot the LV1.
There are massive opportunities, both with the sport of paintball and for your business. If we are successful in taking our sport to another level, unite with Paintball Access in our quest to elevate paintball and broadcast it to the world. There are advertising packages available for any size business. Join us. Advertise with PBA and help us change the sport for the better, forever.
Welcome back. Last guest of the night, Raney Stanczak from Edmonton Impact. They won the last event at the PSP Chicago Open, and also they have been dominating in Europe. They've won every single event in Europe. So, Raney, it's been an amazing year for you guys. Quite the success story. You know, relatively new, old name, new team, a lot of new faces on the team, and it was one of those stories where the leadership of Impact had to figure out how to rebuild their squad after they lost some guys to Houston Heat. Lost Greg Sewers, Ryan Morin, and Tim Montresor, who had been on that team for a while. Those are three awesome players. And so they, you know, brought you on from Damage. I mean, obviously you've played for a lot of top teams over the years. Picked up, you know, Ryan Martin, picked up Nick Laval, picked up Danny Park. Kind of went with a younger crew. I mean, you're a veteran, but out of those four guys that they picked up, you are the most veteran guy. All the other guys, and Ryan Martin's been around the block a little bit too. But you have some news to break for us, actually.
Yeah, Ryan Martin recently just left our team. Decided to take a little break from paintball. Had a long trip over to Phoenix, going to Sacramento to practice to play San Antonio X Factor, and just decided he didn't want to do it anymore, and just
tapped out.
Tapped out. Want to enjoy life and do school, and you know, not really surprised. Kind of saw this coming.
Wait a second. I thought playing on Edmonton Impact is enjoying life. The last time I checked. I mean, I've been following you on your Instagram and talk to you every now and then, and it seems like quite the amazing adventure.
I mean, I'm enjoying it. I can't speak for Ryan, but yeah, I was enjoying it, and still enjoying it, but I guess, you know, he doesn't, you know, flying can take a toll on you, and it doesn't always fit everyone's personalities.
Yeah.
So sometimes, you know, sitting in an airport for 4 or 5 hours, sleeping in the airport.
Well, it's the travel grind that I just asked Marcello, and Ryan about, and Marcello was like, yeah, I got no problems with it. Some people do, some people don't, though. But that is actually a good point. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, come on, you can just go to all these cool places and play paintball and do this and do that. And yes, that is very true. You get to do that. But you are gone away from your family. You're gone away from whatever work you're doing. It's hard to go to school if you're doing that. It's just hard to have any sort of semblance of a regular life when you're on the road living that paintball life for 25, 30 weeks a year.
Yeah, no, definitely. And he's been going to school all the time. So he has this next month off, and I think he just realized he wanted to spend the weekends enjoying life at his house, not on the road, not traveling. I personally like to travel and go everywhere and see everything. So that was his decision.
Yeah, because you hadn't gone to Europe yet.
I hadn't gone to Europe
before
yet.
This year.
So I've been super pumped to go. And he didn't go to any of the European events. He's just been going just to the PSPs.
Okay. But you've been going to those Europe events.
Yes.
And you guys have been dominating over there.
Yes.
So talk to me about how cool that's been. Before we get to the PSP win, which is incredibly hard to do, but you guys have been smashing people over there.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of fun because we go out there and we either go there ahead of time or stay there after the fact. So we're not going there just to play paintball, but we're going there to hang out and see all the cool sights and do all those things. But it's always fun when you come home with the gold. It makes going out every night a little more exciting.
Do you think it's good for, I mean, I'm assuming it is. It seems like it's definitely working, but the vibe that Impact has built, the teamwork, the camaraderie that, you know, Bart Yakmek has definitely really done an excellent job of doing. But do you think that has a lot to do with the fact that, all right, you go over there, you focus on the tournament, but you know that either before or after you're going to be able to enjoy that cool place that you're at instead of just going there and you just see hotel, field, food, hotel, field, food, and then that's it, and then you leave?
Well, it's huge because a lot of the teams that just play the PSP, I mean, they play the 2 weekends before, the 3 weekends before, and those are the only weekends and the only days they see each other. Whereas us, the second that PSP is done with, a week later, we're all traveling together, going over to Europe. So we're spending more time with each other, learning each other's personalities, playing more paintball with each other. So there's a lot of growth during that time. And we're getting real comfortable with each other, and that's what I think is a huge part of our success. Is we're having faith in each other by spending more time with each other.
Yeah, and it's sped along the process. And you can actually see there's the Impact documentary that Cena has been doing from, and then it's on PbNation and on YouTube. You can check it out. Also, the new season of The Roster is out with Chicago Aftershock. So it's almost, that's two completely different versions of pro paintball teams. Shock is the blue collar ballers, and then you got Impact, you know, going all these crazy places playing in Europe. And, you know, we got Kurt Wozni talking about how he was cleaning bathrooms and how he decided he didn't want to do that. So he decided to play paintball and he needed some fun in his life, you know?
I saw that.
Yeah, so it's cool, but that's reality. You know, I mean, it's two different things. But you guys have been playing so well. You took second at the second event. You won the last event in the PSP, which is the hardest division, hardest league in the world. So it's got to be kind of a redemptive thing for you to make the move to come off damage, go to Impact, and then for you guys to have the success that you've had.
Yeah, it feels real good because at the beginning of the year I had a phone conversation with Bart, and I straight up was like, I promise you we're going to win a pro tournament this year.
Really?
Yes.
And you're a gambler, so
I was confident that we were going to win an event. I just didn't know when. So when we won that event, it felt great. You know, we all wanted that win so bad that we didn't even want to leave the field. We sat there at that field for an hour, not de-gearing, just savoring that moment.
Sucking it in.
Because we didn't want to leave. We knew it was like that moment only matters for that day. After that day, nobody cares. So we didn't want to leave. We took it in, and it felt real good.
Yeah, well, you guys earned it. I mean, you fought through some hard competition. You had to defeat Houston Heat, which I thought was kind of interesting because Houston Heat had those members. They were the ones that took those core members from Impact. Was there a little bit of rivalry there?
You know, I think if Bart didn't say this, but I think if he was to write it out, if he could choose to play a team in the finals, I think that's who he'd want to play.
To win the tournament?
Yeah, I mean, the guys that left the team, that's going to make you feel good to beat the old dudes.
Yeah, well, it worked. No, it's cool. I mean, what do you think has been impressing you about Impact this year, Todd? I mean, you've seen Impact forever. You know those guys since they came up.
The most impressive thing for me is PSP Dallas. You know how the team performed there, and then talking to Rainey here after you know, in the last live breakdown that we did, you know, and he was like, you know what, after that tournament, we all got together and we talked and we were like, hey, you know, like this isn't who we are, you know, we need to come together, you know, we all bonded, you know, right, you know, you were there.
Yeah.
You know, like we all bonded, we came together and we decided like this is the team that we're going to be, you know, and with going to Europe definitely helps to get that time together, you know, I know I've seen that before for sure. And then just, you know, the team, the way that you guys won in Chicago, you know, it was like you were playing flawless paintball. You know, you weren't making any mistakes. Guys were doing their jobs. Guys were stepping up and playing big. And, you know, there's no selfishness. You know, like when you just see everybody just going out there and playing off each other and just contributing the best that they can to the best of their ability, everybody steps their game up. And, you know, it's a beautiful thing to watch. You know, if you watch a lot of paintball and you see teams that struggle, you know, it's always, you know, similar things. And, you know, to watch a team, you know, make those mistakes and then learn from them and get better and then go on a run. You know, you don't see runs like this very often.
No,
you know,
don't.
to go, I mean, I remember when I was on Avalanche way back in the day, we won a string of Millennium tournaments. Like there's no better feeling than that, you know, like you feel on a roll, your confidence is so high and you're just, you know, like you just feel like you can't be stopped. And there's no saying, you know, how long that could last, you know. This could be over in Riverside.
Well, and it's also,
this could go until next year.
Well, and that's the thing,
you
is,
know?
and that's the question I wanted to ask is that how is that vibe on the team? I mean, is that something that's even talked about? Is that some sort of, you know, you when you're on a run, don't talk about how awesome the run is? Because the fact that you guys have won every event in Europe and took second and a first at the PSP, and you guys are the favorite heading into this next event, considering also how crazy competitive the league is right now. That's to me the most amazing thing. But is that something you guys even mention, or are you just kind of too much into the moment to even bring that up?
No, we bring that up. We're like, don't let
Really?
this go to your head.
Yeah.
It's like we're at practice. It looks like we're a losing team because we're out there screaming at each other. I mean, there was matches we're winning in Europe and we're, you know, nitpicking each other because we know we're capable. We know what we're capable of playing as. So if if somebody doesn't show up that day, we're gonna let that person know. We all want to win.
Yeah.
So no one's gonna go out there and just be like, oh, we won the last event, we got this, no big deal.
Well, the key is holding people accountable, but not being a jerk about it.
Exactly.
You know? But then that person also has to be like, you know, reflective and say, hey, I know what I need to do better, you know, and then making the conscious effort to go out and do it.
Well, the core of the team is particularly playing pretty well, and I think that when you have the core of the team that's been there for a long time, you know, Zach Yakmek played a phenomenal event at the last event. He was the MVP for a reason. He was playing super consistent. He was shooting guys, just not making any mistakes. So when you have the core of the team that's been there for a long time, the young guys are playing good, the core's playing good, the core can then tell the young guys if they're messing up, and everyone's got that vibe because you guys have been traveling so much. It's kind of that magic camaraderie that you need in order to kind of keep a run going. So, but that's what's at stake at the West Coast Open, is that, you know, can you guys keep it up? And the teams you have to play in the prelims are tough. I mean, you have 187 out the gate at 10:30 a.m. on Friday the 8th, and then you have Dynasty, Chaos, and Ironman, and that's a pretty tough bracket.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, all the brackets are hard, all the games are hard, every shot's hard, every move hard, every point's hard.
Yeah.
So. You just got to come in there and just prepare, do your homework, and show up to play, because anybody can beat anybody on any given day.
Yeah, so let's speak. We know you're a gambler, and fantasy picks. Let's head into your fantasy picks. Who did you pick and why?
All right. First off, Axe Galdine, $100. That's a steal.
Steal. I got him on my team, too.
That was an easy pick.
Yeah.
I picked TJ Tanner. Not too many people know who he is. He plays for VCK.
Yep.
I won a turn with him on Texas Storm.
I was wondering, because I mean, TJ Danner is definitely a talent, but I was wondering why, of all the people you potentially could pick, that you picked TJ Danner.
I know him personally, and he's a really good paintball player. He doesn't cheat. Hopefully he doesn't get penalties. I'm not jinxing him. But their team kind of runs with a skeleton crew, and skeleton crews work well on slow-paced field because they're not being run into the dirt. The guys are just getting a flow. So I could see someone like TJ Planner, who's probably going to play a lot of points, get in a good flow, get a lot of kills, be alive, and win points for his team.
He's one of their top 5 guys, too.
Yes.
Yeah,
and he's smart, he's calm, he's not going to come in the pit screaming. He knows what he needs to do to win. Matt Sossman, another dude like that.
Putting
calm,
up numbers.
consistent, going to shoot people off the break. This is a shooter's field, and he's a shooter. And then my last 5 guys are just all Tampa Bay damage. I went with all damage.
So your former team.
Former team.
Which I think is interesting because I don't think there's one guy from Impact on your squad. Is that some sort of bad luck thing? Or
yeah, I didn't choose anybody from my team. I didn't do it last tournament when we did well. And I actually didn't choose anyone out of our bracket. I don't want to have any conflicts issue. Just put everybody in the other bracket. Wish them the best of luck. If my team sucks, sorry, Tampa Bay Damage, you didn't do well. But I think they'll do well in this field.
They won this event last year.
They did. And I was on the team when they won that.
And yeah, you were.
But I think they'll do well in this field. They have a lot of good shooters and a lot of smart players, so they should do well.
Yeah, I mean, Brian Smith, Dalton Vanderbilt, and the Edwards brothers and Timmy Props, I mean, those are some hard-hitting guys right there. So yeah, awesome. So all right, so we'll see at the the next slide breakdown we do for World Cup if who persevered and actually ended up winning it. Marcello won the last one. So let's head into your play. What did you go with here for plays for people to run that you guys are going to be running also this weekend coming up?
Well, this play probably looks very similar to everyone else's play because there's not too much variation on the field. But what I'm doing right here is this guy off the break is basically committing to shooting that Dorito side. After that, he kind of has options whether he can go to the Dorito tower or go to the further Dorito tower. Depending on whether he shoots that guy or not, dictates his move. So he has options, kind of like Todd's plays. I like to have options. The second guy, basically everyone's going to go to that Dorito tower and shoot across field on the snake side, shoot 11, 10 pods, and just hold that side of the field down. This is our killer. We're putting him in the Dorito, and hopefully the guy in the middle kills the guy on the Dorito side, allowing our guy in the Dorito just to wrap, have that advantage, and push the issue up the Dorito side of the field. Last guy, the second to last guy is on the snake side, shooting the Dorito side, also trying to get that kill off the break. And if he does get that kill, he could be a guy that will look that way, shut that zone down. If the guy in the center who shoots off the break gets up the field, he can switch and help his guy on the snake side. The guy in the snake temple has to be smart and disciplined and wait for his guy to get up the Dorito. Once his guy gets up the Dorito, they'll take a lot of pressure off him and allow him to get in the snake and maybe get a quick kill or two.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting layout, man. You know what? MAO was this is a similar layout to MAO, but we had a lot of close games in MAO and a lot of nail biters. There was literally out of 36 games that we called that weekend, there was maybe 2 that I was thinking, oh, okay, this game's a little boring. Out of 36 games. So, and with everything that's at stake at this next one, I mean, there's a lot riding on this one, you know. I mean, what's that like, knowing that kind of pressure, that ominous understanding of how things work in pro paintball now? I mean, is that something that enters your mind, or something you try not to think about?
I mean, it's scary. I was talking to Scott Kemp about this. I mean, only 2 teams in all the 20 teams has not played in a relegation match, and only 4 teams have not been relegated. So anybody can lose at any given time. You're a good season and you're doing well in Europe. I mean, it could be all blown out by being relegated.
Yeah. So for the World Cup, I mean, yeah, that would be a crazy story, but it wouldn't even be that crazy considering what we've seen this year already. I mean, think about this. You have Los Angeles Infamous, who come into the year and just beat people up at the first event and win an awesome tournament for them, and then they get relegated. And they're stuck down there. They didn't make it out at the last event. They're down there at the same time as San Antonio X Factor. X Factor is the defending world champions. They won the World Cup last year in a come-from-behind victory against Impact. And they're also now stuck down there because they got beat by Vicious.
And they got to get out just to be able to defend their title.
Yeah, they got to get out exactly just to defend their title. And then also Chicago Aftershock, who took 3rd at the second event on a field layout very similar to this. And best case, just 2 of those 3 teams make it out to fight for the World Cup victory in the championship. Just 2. That's best case. I mean, because you also have, you have other teams. Excessives waiting in the wings, Thunder. I mean, there's a lot of teams. Red Storm made the semifinals at the last one. I mean, there's some teams down there that are hungry to get out of that division finally. Yeah. So, but that's how crazy things are right now. Yeah, it's good. So, yeah, West Coast Open, man, it's going to be great. Well, hey, Rainey, thank you very much for sitting in with us. Very much appreciate it. Wish you the best of luck at this next one. And yeah, so the West Coast Open is definitely coming at you. Sign up for your fantasy team. We're going to be giving away some free stuff. It's going to be the 8th through the 10th. You also have to tell your friends about 24 hours to watch this in order to get that $5 discount on the webcast. And again, thank you guys for tuning in. We very much appreciate it, man. We're trying to do everything we possibly can over here at PBA and the PSP in order to create a show that paintball can be proud of. That's what this is really about, and that's why we work so long and hard for this. And every single dollar that you spend on the webcast goes directly into our budget. Literally, it's purely just to make this thing exist and make it awesome. So yeah, 8th through the 10th, it's going down. PaintballAccess.com. Again, thank you to our sponsors, Planet Eclipse, Dye, Empire Paintball, Raza, and also PbNation for making this happen. So it's going to be crazy. The West Coast Open, man. I mean, who's going to make it for World Cup? We don't know. We've just been breaking all the different possibilities responsibilities down, but all that action is going to play out as the 20 best teams in the paintball world throw down in the Champs and Challengers division. So thank you guys for tuning in here to the breakdown. I'm Matty Marshall with Raney Stanczak and Todd Martinez. And on behalf of all the guests we had here tonight, we'll see you guys next time.
There are massive opportunities, both for the sport of paintball and for your business. If we are successful in taking our sport to another level, unite with Paintball Access in our quest to elevate paintball and broadcast it to the world. There are advertising packages available for any size business. Join us. Advertise with PBA and help us change the sport for the better, forever.